All right, welcome back, artists. In this video, I am going to be showing you how to use our shading techniques that we learned earlier and apply them to a three-dimensional form. So first of all, I'm gonna start trying to make my shapes or my forms look a bit more realistic and have more depth by giving them a setting. So first, this does not have to do with shading, but it will if we want to add shadows to the ground that the items are sitting on. So here I'm just creating a horizon line, and a horizon line makes it look like these items are sitting on a ground or on a table or on some sort of surface instead of just floating in the air. And your horizon line can be up high, it can be down low. The important thing is that it crosses over the item. So if I had a line way down here, this sphere would be floating. If I had a line way up here, it might be underground or something like that. So I want to make it look like it's sitting, resting, it has some weight and it's resting on a surface. You could make it more complex by adding another line here, like it's sitting in a corner maybe, but we'll see if we get into that. So I'm just using a regular number 2 pencil here. If you have a pencil set, you can use lighter and darker pencils. If you have questions about your pencil set, let me know. But this can definitely be done with a regular pencil. I do recommend not using a mechanical pencil because the lead, the shape of the lead in a regular pencil like this one just works a bit better for shading. But at any rate, your assignment here is to shade each of these using a different shading technique in each form. You can choose what you want to do for which ones. For this video, I am going to be demonstrating hatching, cross hatching, scumbling, and I haven't decided on the last one. Maybe blending for the last one. Those will be my 4, and we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to narrate what I'm doing, but I am going to speed this up a little bit so it's not going to be in real time. So I'll start here with my cylinder, and I want you to label the drawing technique that you're using. So I'm going to be using hatching. And remember, hatching is just lines that are going one direction. The interesting thing about hatching is we practice it with diagonals, but you can do this with any shape, basically, any direction. So since I have this strong curve, I want it to look like my cylinder is curving. So I'm going to have my hatch marks be following this oval shape. So my hatch marks are slightly curved. I want it to look like the light is rounding around this item. Now, the other thing to be aware of when shading and trying to make something look realistic is you need to have a light source. So in this case, I'm going to pretend like my light source, the sun maybe, is coming from up here and it's shining down this way. So if that's true, the top of my cylinder is going to be very light and this side of the cylinder is going to be very light. So this side is going to be my darker side, which means I might need to add more pressure with my pencil, and I might need to add more layers. All right, so you can see here how I've begun to shade my cylinder. And if the sun is coming from this way, we're probably gonna have a shadow down here. And I might go in maybe to differentiate from the shape of the table and the shape of the cylinder. I might have my hatch marks go the opposite way to make it look like the shadow is not part of the cylinder. All right, so there we have the cylinder. Next, we are going to look at the cone. The cone is a lot like a cylinder, it just has a pointy top. So I'm gonna do much the same thing, but in this case, I'm gonna try cross-hatching and see how that looks different. So for my first layer of just laying down some hatch marks, I'm going to just basically do the same thing I did over here, kind of get this, get these hatch marks going, and they're gonna be kind of going in the same direction as this bottom oval. So if I need to create a guideline for myself, I can kind of draw a couple more of those lines to kind of make sure that my hatch marks are going generally the right direction. And I'm drawing pretty light right now. I'm not pressing very hard. I'm gonna have the sun, the light source, come from this way. This is called the light source, the source of the light. So that means if it's lighter over here, it's gonna be darker on this side. So again, with cross-hatching in our practice, we were just going and kind of making X's like that. And in this case, we're being a little bit more deliberate or purposeful with the direction of the lines. So now that I have my first layer, lighter over here, medium. Probably need to make some more layers here, but I'll do that with my cross hatches. So my opposite marks, instead of going just totally opposite, I'm gonna go with the angle of the form. So here we have this cone. I'm gonna follow the lines, the direction of the cone. So here it's going this way. In the middle, it's kind of going to be straight down, and on the right-hand side, it's going to be going out, flaring out the other way. So even though cross-hatching is really just opposite directions, you can kind of determine which way those directions need to be, like what makes most sense for the shape that you're trying to show. All right, and then another great tip is if you want your form to look very three-dimensional, the last layer that you do should be the direction of the most prominent shape of your item. So I want my cone to look like it's coming at me, like this way. This is kind of confusing because this is string, but basically what I mean is if I do these vertical lines as my last layer, it kind of flattens the image. And what I want to do is make the curved lines that are following the shape of the form, that's going to be my top layer. It kind of just tricks the eye into thinking that the item is more round or more dimensional than it maybe really is. So makes it look a bit more realistic. My light source is coming from the same direction. I'm gonna bring my shadows out and I'll do my cross hatching down here, this direction. And it can be kind of sketchy. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, my video is getting kind of long, so I'm going to pause here and I'll catch up with you in another video for the cube and the sphere.